All right, students, here we go. Here is the lesson 6.7 translations. I'm going to start halfway through the slides that we completed in class because this is where it got a little bit more challenging, and I want to make sure that we have enough time to complete these, as I only have 15 minutes per each recording. And if I have a chance, I'll go back to some of those easier problems. All right, so here we go. We have this figure. And yes, the notes here tell us to graph this figure, but I don't want to graph it. I want to know, can we solve this without graphing? Can we figure out what the new images would be? What would its new vertices be? I know that this original image had a point P at negative 1, 3. It has a point Q at 2, 4. And it has a point R at 3, 2. I then look at this information here, and it tells me that I'm going to move it 2 units to the right. I'm going to start with that. If I think about a coordinate grid, and I think about taking a point, like this one, let's say, and moving it to the right. Well, this to the right is the x-axis, and to the right, if this is 0, to the right the numbers get positive. So I know that I have the x-axis, and I'm going to add, and it said 2 units, so I'm going to add 2. The x-axis, I'm going to add 2 units. Then I'm going to come up, and I'm going to look at what it tells me to do here. 3 units down. So down would tell me to go this way, and down is negative. Down is also part of the up-down axis, which is the y-axis, just like a yo-yo, the y-axis. Sorry, that y didn't turn out so great. So now I know that I have to go 3 units down, so I want to take the y-axis, down is negative, 3 times. So now I have my work cut out for me. I need to take each one of these points, each one of these values, and plug it into my equation. Remember that when I do this, it's important to know that x comes first, then y. When I have coordinate points, x, then y, x, then y. Then you need to remember the little jingle that we sing in class. Plug it in, plug it in. Because when I do that, see if I could just get this out of here. When I do that, I know all I have to do is a little extra math, nothing to be afraid of. I just have to plug in some numbers. So let's start with letter P, and we're trying to find the image of P. We're trying to find the next point. I know that I need to apply this, x plus 2 and y minus 3. Oh, that should have changed over. Y minus 3. I know that this value here is y, so all I'm going to do is plug it into this place. 3 minus 3. I know that here, this image, or for this point, it's negative 1. So I'm going to take negative 1 and plug it in for the x. Negative 1. Now all I have to do is solve this. Negative 1 plus 2, well, 2 positives, 1 negative. The positive team is going to win by 1. And 3 minus 3, well, that's pretty easy. That's 0. So I know that the new image for P prime is 1, 0. And that's after this translation. I wish I could say you were done, but you're not, because you still have to do it for point Q and for point R. You need to, again, take this same algebra principle, and you need to know that to find Q prime, you need to take the x value and add 2, and you need to take your y value and subtract 3. You need to plug in each point that you have. I know that this is the y, so I'm going to plug it in for the y and get 4 minus 3. I know that x is 2, so I'm going to plug the 2 in and get 2 plus 2. And once I solve that, I'll have my new image for q prime. Q prime would equal 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. And 4 minus 3 is 1. So the new image here would be 4, 1. That's the new vertex here, the new vertex. All right, last but not least, letter R. You have to do the same thing. I know it seems like a lot of work and it's a little repetitive, but it's the best and only way to get your answer. Of course, some of you are going to try to do this in your head. I suggest, however, writing out all your work. It's best practice. So I know, still the same, to find r prime, I need to add 2 to x and subtract 3 from y. I'm not doing anything different. Why don't you go ahead and hit pause and then come back and see if you got the right answer. All right, hopefully, while you were on pause, you took the opportunity to plug in some of these points to get an answer that you believe to be correct. Hopefully it looks somewhat like mine, and you ended up with an answer of 5, negative 1. So the points for R are 5, negative 1. R prime, I apologize. All right, let's go to the next slide, and I want you to hit pause right away and try solving it yourself by listing all the coordinates. It must be before this one. Hold on. Here it is. All right, so go ahead, once I erase this, go ahead and hit pause, and then come back and let's see if you got the right answer. All right, so now you're coming back. I'm going to erase this work here quick so we can do the work together. The first thing that you want to do, or hopefully you did, was figure out the algebra. What do you need to do to this problem? Hopefully you looked at it and you said, all right, I need to take this and go 2 units to the left, 5 units down. And you looked at it and said, okay, right and left goes this way, and that's the x-axis, and left gets negative, so I need to take the x-axis and subtract a 2. And up and down is the y-axis, and this one specifically says down, so that's the y-axis minus 5. Hopefully that's the algebra that you used in order to solve this. Then you would just plug in all of these values, and hopefully you found that a prime would equal negative 4, negative 3, and again you just took these and plugged them in. That b prime would equal 1, negative 1, and that c prime would equal 2, negative 4. This is the exact one that we did in your homework today, so if you want to go back in your homework and you know you took good notes, you can double check and see all the math we did for that. I will show you the math for a prime just to give you another little pointer. But I would take this value of negative 2, because again this is my x and that's my y, and I would take that value and plug it in. X is negative 2, so I would take negative 2, plug it in right here. I still have minus 2 after it. And then my y value was a 2, so I'd have 2 minus 5. And then I do my tick-tock, tick-tock, negative 2 plus a negative 2. Well, in this case, they're all on the same team. I have 2 negatives plus 2 more negatives, so it's a total of negative 4. Tick-tock. This is 2 is on the positive team. This 5 is on the negative team, so there are more negatives by 3. And that's where we get the answer, -4, 3. There will be problems where you don't have to do all the math and all you have to do is slide it over. So these should be pretty easy. These were a few of those problems I said that, I wanted to get to the more challenging right away and then come back to this. But here, this says to translate it 4 units to the right, 3 units up. 4 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Here's R. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Here's T. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Here's S. And it's prime, prime, prime. So R prime, T prime, S prime, because they're all from the image. Whoops, that one's a little off. I apologize. And then the question says, what are the coordinates of T? Well, I came over 1, went up 2, 1, 2. If I wanted to write the algebra for this, which isn't required, but if I wanted to write the algebra, I went 4 to the right. So I would take the x value and I added 4. And then I went 3 units up, so I took the y value and added 3. Let's see if that works. Let's look at the value of t. T was -1, 2, 3, -1. So it was -3, -1. -3, -1. This is the x, this is the y. If I take this x and plug it in right here, I get -3 plus 4. And if I take this y, which is -1, and plug it in right here, now let's solve. 3 on the negative team, 4 on the positive team. It's already adding. So the positive team's going to win by 1. 1 on the negative team, 3 on the positive team. So the positive team's going to win by 2. And lo and behold, it matches. So good job. Same thing here. I want you to go ahead and hit pause. And I want you to, before you translate this by moving it over, see if you can figure out what L was going to be if I tell you right now that the points for L are 2, 1. Can you figure out what L prime will be before you even translate it? Go ahead and hit pause and see if you get it. All right, so when I look at this, it tells me to take 4 units to the left. So left and right is the x-axis, and left means I'm going negative, so I want x to subtract 4. 2 units up means that I'm adding, because I'm going up, but I'm adding to the y, so y plus 2. I know my original coordinate point was 2, 1, and I know that x occurs before y in a set of coordinate points. I need to plug this in here. 2 minus 4, and I need to plug this in here. 1 plus 2. 2 minus 4, tick tock. 2 on the positive team, 4 on the negative team. The negative team will win by 2. And over here, they're all together, super easy, just a 3. So L prime should be -2, +3. Let's see what happens. Take L, move it 4 units left, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 units up, 1, 2. What is this point? Back 2, up 3, -2, 3. It does match. I love that when that happens. All right, hopefully that helps a little bit on what the algebra means, or that extra little piece that maybe you got stuck on, and that you can get through your homework a little bit more. Thank you, and have a great day.